Today on the show, we're going to talk about Legion, Episode 4, Chapter 4, all this and more on What the Hell Did We Just Watch? Welcome to another episode of What the Hell Did We Just Watch? I'm your host, Lumotional Lou, and this is the show that helps spread movie awareness, and now, because of Legion, TV awareness. How's everybody doing today? You guys having a good week? I sure as hell am. I hope you are too. But let's just get right down to it because we have a lot to cover.
There are two kinds of stories we tell our children.
He's gonna wake up, right?
Stories about empathy.
Maybe he's hidden his real memories behind fake ones.
And fear. This story's about fear. And what happened next.
Episode 4 was just jam-packed with a whole lot of brand new information. It was very action-packed. It was dramatic-packed. Everything. So many answers were just laid all over the place. There's so many things going on. And by far, it was one of the best episodes, if not the best episode of the season so far. It was phenomenal. Great storytelling. We get introduced by this guy who, I'll call him the narrator for now, because we didn't get introduced to him entirely. He's just telling a little story there, sort of like if he was kind of setting up play, so to speak. That's basically how I felt like it was narrating it. David, what we know is that he's still in a coma. He has now been moved from the room where he was laying on the couch, and now he was moved to Carrie's laboratory, kind of like laid out on that bed there. Paul, who was Patanomy, Carrie, who is Carrie's, Carrie is the girl, as we remember. She's the one that's living inside of Carrie. They share a body. And also Sid go to visit Dr. Poole's office, because of what we learned from his past, how he has Dr. Poole, how David has Dr. Poole helping him and trying to figure things out. He was basically the first doctor that kind of helped him out. It was an empty office. No one's been there. It looks like no one's been there for a very long time. Paul, Patanomy, we're just going to call him Patanomy from now on. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. He starts to look around and he starts saying how a room also has memories and also objects have memories as well. And I was like, wow, man, this guy's powers is truly endless, or at least it feels like it's endless. So he starts to look around. They find a recorder. Actually, it's the same recorder that Dr. Poole recorded David in all the sessions that he had, but it was beat up, it was broken, but he was still able to find some memory within the machine to help him out with the memories of the recorder, so to speak. And it's telling it from the recorder's perspective because Paul gets frustrated with David, has gotten frustrated with David because he keeps resisting, or he feels that David is the one that's resisting all these memory kind of like plot points that they're trying to figure out what it is, and they can't get it because he starts resisting. He claims he's not doing it, but they feel that he is. So, we're getting this feeling that whatever's happening is definitely not by his free will. You know what I mean? So that's very, very interesting. We found out that David was in the office. We thought that he was in there to destroy something. They were thinking that maybe he snuck in to try to steal stuff to buy drugs. We start to get this theory because Sid or Paul start realizing that he may not have been in there to steal anything after all, but maybe to destroy or hide something that maybe he said. You know what I mean? So basically, they're stating that he was possibly the reason why the recorder was broken. And we're seeing him in those cool-ass shots of him eating tape, which I always think is so fucking cool. If you look at my social media at Instagram.com/whatthehellpcast or Facebook.com/whatthehellpcast, Twitter.com/thehellpcast, you can see those pictures that I put up about Legion. And there's one that was from episode 1 that says the devil with the yellow eyes, and they show him eating tape. And I just thought that was amazing. We didn't know why he was doing it. I just remember seeing and just saying that was just an awesome shot. I just can't wait to see what that means. And now we know what that means. He was trying to destroy the tape from the recorder. That's basically what it is. That definitely can sum that up for sure. Amy Haller is captive at Division 3 now. She's actually being held prisoner against her will. And we also find out that the doctor Kissinger, the one that was treating David at Clockworks, is also captive, and he is in there with him. She is basically, they are next door neighbors basically, and they're talking amongst each other, and they're trying to figure out about David, about how he is or where they think he is and all this and that. And they started having a conversation about David, and Kissinger reveals that they were mostly talking about his childhood, that they would try to always have conversations about that, and that every time they would talk about him, they would remember her, the sister, they would remember her and their dog. King was the name. And all of a sudden, there's this pause, and then there was like, Amy says, "We don't have a dog. We never had a dog." And that was mind-blowing. How about that, right? That's crazy. Carrie, we find out more about her, which is Carrie and Carrie. Carrie is the girl, the female that lives inside Carrie's body. And we get to see also a lot more about her. Apparently, what was crazy, I was trying to figure it out too. It was kind of confusing the way they said it, but it was still pretty impressive. So Carrie was born. She was the one that was born. And then somewhere along the line, Carrie was turned into Carrie. Yeah, exactly. That's just so weird. Somewhere along the lines, it made everybody kind of like confused. The parents divorced, and the mother was left to raise Carrie, because Carrie was the one that stayed. And Carrie, out of nowhere, when he was an adolescent, I think it was 8 years old, Carrie comes out of his body. She starts playing with his toys, and they basically just hit it off there as they saw each other as siblings, which is pretty interesting. But the more interesting part is that every time she goes into Carrie's body, she's kind of like timeless. Every time she comes out of his body, that's when actually she starts aging. So that's pretty interesting. A little bit later, Melanie starts having like this vision inside her office, and she sees a guy that was in scuba gear. And, that's what I love. That's this film, this TV show just gives you questions upon questions, and it opens up a can of worms. And I like shows like that. They don't need to answer everything right away, and I love stuff like that. Melanie seeing this scuba outfit just gave her this kind of like urge to call Carrie, and she said that they were going to go somewhere in the building, and they were going down. And we don't know why until we see that when they are at where they need to be, it is freezing in there, and they go see something that's laying on a table, and it's, lo and behold, a person inside of a scuba gear, frozen. You know what I mean? That's pretty fucking crazy. And she says hi. She basically says hi to the body and calls him Oliver. And from what we know is that Oliver is the man that we find that was the narrator in the beginning, and not only that, we find out that Oliver is Melanie's husband. He is frozen inside the scuba gear, and from what I'm getting is that she's trying to figure out possibly a way to get him out. We cut to seeing David inside of his consciousness. He is grown, so I was expecting a little boy, but that didn't happen. So he's grown, and he is just walking around this vast area. It was just like of memory, like open space basically. He comes up across a ladder. He starts to climb a ladder. He's inside of an ice cube, and while he's in there, he finds Oliver. at least the consciousness of Oliver. This is pretty interesting because when we're in here, in this ice cube, when David's in there, he gets explained to where he is and why he's there. He is in basically somewhat of a Matrix, if you ask me. That's what it reminded me of, or Inception, because he was basically in a dream within a dream, and like it was called the astral plane. That's what they were calling it, and that's basically a place that's just like a vast of nothing. Memory, time, and space is like there is none, and things like that. And apparently Oliver is stuck. He assures David that the person that's been following him, and it's the man with the yellow eyes, won't hurt him in there. So David still insists that there has to be a way out, and so he's determined. And that's great. That's fantastic. So Oliver tries to tell him that he can stay. He chooses not to. So onward to the fact that we find out now that Oliver is trapped in some kind of in that astral plane. Could it be from when he got frozen somehow? And maybe that's where he's where he consciously is. You know, that's going to be fun to figure out what's going on with that. Sid battles with David's memories, you know, as they're trying to go to visit Dr. Poole. She's like struggling with what's going on, what she saw. You know, that kind of freaked her out. That kind of put her in a weird place, you know, and I get that. I understand. It's fucked up. But, you know, you just got to be what you do, you know. And she's also having a hard time trying to figure out that is the world that she's living in at that very moment, is it real, or is she still in the dream? Because things, I guess, seem so surreal for her. And so they couldn't find Dr. Poole, but they were able to find some information to find Philly, who is David's ex-girlfriend. So they go to try to find her. They actually find her at her place, at her job, and they start asking about David and what's going on. And Sid, like the girl, like the jealous girl that she is, or at least she's trying to be, she's cute. You know, she has good intentions. She just decides that she wants to ask Philly about David. And, she's, you know, Philly's a little reserved. She's trying to say a little something. And, you know, they start, you know, after they stop talking about him, Sid asked, is there something that you want to, for us to say to David? Is there something that you want us to say to him? And Philly says, yes, they're watching. And my jaw dropped. My jaw fucking dropped. And I couldn't believe it, you know. They also find out from Philly that Dr. Poole is living at a lighthouse, you know, secluded from everybody and everything. And Patanomy saw in Philly's memories that she would go visit him, that she was going to visit him. That's how they found out that he was at this lighthouse, secluded from everything and everyone. And one of the things that they had a conversation about Philly, Sid and Patanomy, they had a conversation with Philly. And one of the things that was like a big fucking shocker, when they were talking about Lenny, they were confused, and and there was another secret that was laid out. Just like the dog, Lenny never existed. Lenny is Benny. It's not a woman, it's a guy. That's the person that's been hanging out with him outside. Because one of the things I questioned was like, wait a minute, Lenny and David have been friends for this long, and they actually got put into the same institution together? That's kind of strange. That's very weird. Like, I did question it. Like, why, how do they have such a relationship, and how the hell would they end up in the same place together? You know what I mean? Like, you know, but I took it as coincidence. But I love the fact that my coincidences are not coincidences, and they end up being good plot. The group goes to visit Dr. Poole after learning about Benny, and who the hell is Benny. Well, we kind of know who Benny is, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, what the fuck? There's a guy named Benny now, not Lenny? There's no Lenny? Then who the hell was the girl at Clockworks? The group goes to visit Dr. Poole at the lighthouse. He looks defeated. He's blinded one eye. That's for sure. He looks beat up. He has like a scar on his cheek. He didn't look like that at all. But then all of a sudden, as we're trying to figure out any information and they're talking to him, he seems a little bit weird talking. And we find out that it's a trap. Wait. It's a trap. You have to say it like that. If you say it's a trap, you have to say it just like, Calamari from Star Wars Return of the Jedi. we find out that it's a trap and it's the eye. Carrie is put up to the test now because she's been complaining about not fighting at all, and all she does is talk. And so she goes out there and she starts kicking ass. One thing that's weird is that Patanomy and everybody are shooting bullets at the eye, and he's not getting hurt. He's not getting hit or nothing. What the hell is up with that shit? Carrie has a beatdown, like I said. Sid transfers bodies with the eye on purpose. Now that was fucking cool because she don't fight, but she was actually able to put her powers into use because she was getting, the eye was getting shit done, and he was getting fucking Patanomy wasted and all that stuff. He was like on the verge of capturing everybody and killing them or whatever the fuck it was. There's this big cool action sequences that are going on. Now I just want to take this moment just to like say a little something before I, finish this up here. But one of the things that I have to say that amazes the hell out of me about this show is that this show has way more interesting characters, and I'm saying it and I don't give a shit who says that, who disagrees with me. This show has way more interesting mutants than the entire X-Men franchise have been able to cook up. I have seen some really cool fucking unique shit between these mutants. And we've only seen 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So, and they're all fucking interesting. You got one person that lives inside of another. We got a guy that can fucking read the memories of everyone and anything. We have somebody that has a very simple power, like transferring her body, transferring bodies with someone, basically. And it's only for a short time, but what we see is pretty fucking cool stuff about what's going on. It's not necessarily the power, it's how they execute what the power does or does not do. That is what makes these characters interesting and these mutants more interesting, and not so on the surface about how they feel that the movie or show should go. They're way more interesting. That's what the silly part is. You know what I mean? They don't have anything crazy or unique per se. It's just the way they do it. That's what makes it fucking amazing, and all I gotta say is X-Men never got me like the way this show ever has. In its 17 years of fucking making movies, and 10 movies later, they were not able to fucking do this. Not what this show has done for me emotionally, Lou-motionally, I should say. Lou-motionally charged about how this show gets me. It's fucking amazing. But back to the thing here. David is still trying to find his way out. He bumps into Lenny in David's old bedroom, like his child bedroom, and starts talking really more negative shit like she did about his sister. And she was just kind of like just coming out of her face, talking all this shit, about how she's never gonna get out, and how he's probably being raped in the ass because he's unconscious and all that shit. And David just gets frustrated and pissed off and says, "Aren't you my fucking friend? What the hell is wrong with you? Just help me get the fuck out of here." And then David does something that he's never done before, and he starts to question Lenny's presence in his head. And she becomes hesitant. She becomes a little bit like afraid or scared, or she seems confused, more shocked actually. And then all of a sudden she starts to help him out suddenly, like how to get out. He starts saying like, look, like basically is like, don't pay attention to me. And then she turns over to the TV and she starts to show him on the TV that Sid, Patanomy, Carrie, they're all unconscious, that they're being held captive, and then the eye is there. And I should point out one pretty amazing part is that, and I was expecting this, but it was pretty cool the way they did it, and you still felt sorry for Carrie for it. When Carrie was fighting, or like in his head, like he kind of like felt it, like that twin intuition thing. And then when she was getting hit, he was getting hit. When the Division 3 thugs came to surround her, they all started beating her down, and then he was being beat down and all that stuff. So that was pretty intense, and you were seeing that he was in pain and all that, and he was very scared for Carrie. And because one of the things that's pretty amazing and kind of like heartwarming, she was only gone for a few hours. And this is the kind of connection that I have. And this is that they had. And this is what I'm saying about such a simple mutant power. And it's all about how they express how they are as mutants. So like I'm saying, she was gone for a few hours, and Melanie kind of like confronted Carrie and was like, you miss her, don't you? And it was like he was explaining about how much he missed her, like if she's been gone for days or even weeks. You know, that's pretty crazy. Like his sentimental and personal attachment to Carrie, because they've been together all his life. And one sweet thing going to that is that she says that he makes me laugh and I protect him. They kind of like got this silent contract, and that's pretty fucking cool. And that's very noble. You like that. It's pretty amazing. So Lenny is helping David get out of this astral plane. And by showing what is going on to Sid and company, enrages him, and he just starts losing it. And through telepathy, through his own powers, he was able to kind of like basically teleport out of the astral plane and into the real world. He uses telekinetic powers to stop the van. You know what I'm saying? So this is the part that gets crazy. The group are unconscious. The group are unconscious in the van. The Eye is driving, but this is the part that's the shocker. The Eye is not the Eye. The Eye is Sid, because they switched bodies. And I just thought that was amazing. And here we go with this little cliched moment. That's not me, it's him, and there. And I thought that was cool, and it was fun just to seeing the Eye so vulnerable and shit like that, and almost getting killed, and that's not him and everything. And then all of a sudden they switch bodies, and David sees that it's not her and everything. So things get a little bit crazy and heated. A gun gets shot off. Carrie is the one that gets shot, and Carrie also goes down and feels that pain. So now they're both in pain, and Patanomy is trying to stop the bleeding, is trying to help her, help Carrie, with what happened. And the very last shot, which is kind of fucking crazy, is we get to see the hand of the devil with the yellow eyes. His hand kind of like brushed on the left shoulder of David. And when we see that happen, on his other side, we see Lenny. So it's like, what the fuck is that? And that's when the show ended. And I was like, what? Me and my girlfriend, we were just jaw dropped on how amazing this episode was. Just so much information, so many things happening, so that's what we know. What we don't know is, what happened to Oliver? Not told in that story form, because it's just in that story form that he said in the beginning. It's just sounded too romantic. I would love to see if they go into like exactly what happened. So I'm going to be very interested in that. Where Amy is, and if she will ever get out. We don't know where the devil with the yellow eyes is, or who it is, or what. Who is the man with the yellow eyes? That's what we need to see, and that's what we need to know, and we can't wait to figure it out, to see who it is. What the questions are is, who is Lenny? Who is that girl that was in Clockworks? Is that Lenny? Is that really her name, is what I'm saying? Did she really exist in Clockworks? Because I inclined to believe that she was there, because Sid saw her. Sid accidentally killed her when she was in David's body. So it's like, who is she? Like, her real name, who is that? I need that answered right now. You know what I mean? So I believe that Lenny, in his subconscious, is the man with the yellow eyes because of the hand. And then you see it. Now, but the real question is, that's a given, because that's a surprise. But the real question is what does that mean? Did David accidentally teleport Lenny out of his subconscious? Is she in the real world? As the man with the yellow eyes? Because if so, God help us all. That was just, the show was pretty amazing. It really, really was. You know, but I think I've talked way too much about Legion episode 4, but I know that you guys are enjoying yourself. I'm enjoying myself. The show is fantastic. So please leave comment, like, share, let us know. Let me know about what you think about what's going on in Legion. You know, like, let me know how it feels to watch an episode as it's going, without having to put all these conspiracy theories and what we think will happen. Enjoy what's going on and try to figure out why things were put there, or question certain details about the show, because I feel that that's way more important, and that feels way more like genuine, and it makes the show more interesting to question what you see that you don't understand, but not having to go and try to figure out, you know, what it is before we get to show, and then have these like I told you so conversations. That's not attractive, man. Just have these questions, and then you can discuss certain things about these questions with people. Like that'll be great. I think that's better. And like I said earlier, you can follow me on all social media sites. Facebook.com/WhatTheHellPcast, Twitter.com/TheHellPcast, Instagram.com/WhatTheHellPcast. You can search me on SoundCloud, Podbean, Podbay, Stitcher Radio. You can follow me on YouTube. You can do all those searches. What the hell did we just watch? That's what you can do. And you can comment, like, share there as well. I will make sure that I respond to the best of my abilities on everything. That if there's any questions or if there's a comment that you would like to say, it's all welcome. You know, so this has been very fun. So without further ado, L'Emotional Lou, what the hell did we just watch? The Legion episodes. And I just got one thing to say. It's been emotional.